posted a question about, let me see, how much power do I have here? Yes, I think, um, let's see, all of this. Here, I will check. How do I sound? It's like a funny, as Brad Garrett says, he's like, Tom, it looks like you're doing everything for the first time, but I have a lot of different systems going on. All right. I'm not seeing any comments or anything from anybody, so I'm going to assume you can hear me. I'm going to talk to you about all things Ambrose Raymond, including the wedding, which I attended. A lot of people had questions about that wedding, which was in New York City. So let's just go back in time. Ambrose Raymond had its creation in 1996, and one of the things that happened was the show that Phil Rosenthal created. He wrote the pilot, utilized much of Ray Romano's real life, and one of those things was he had a 3-year-old daughter, 4-year-old daughter, maybe 4 when it started. So 90, maybe she was 5 and then turned 6. The twins were 3. So that was his real life story. And in one of the episodes, she plays a flower girl in the Ray's wedding. Ray and Deborah get married wedding. Ray's real life daughter, Ali Romano, played a flower girl. I think Ray taps her on the head or something like that. Hold on one second. Let me just... I'm seeing comments. There we go. Hopefully that is better. And let me see. This is, Instagram. Not live on Instagram. Very interesting. Don't know how to fix that, though. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, well, that's how the cookies crumble with these digital things. So for those of you that are expecting me to go live on Instagram, I'm not there. All right. Ray's real life daughter, Alexandra Romano, and people get confused sometimes when I post pictures because Ali Romano played Molly in the series, the daughter of Amy Aquino, the cookie lady. Madeline Sweeten played Ali Barone on the series based on Ray's real life story. There was an episode about where we saw Ali's birth, which was a very funny scene inside of the police car. And Ray is slow dancing with his daughter, which is a very poignant scene, an excellent script written by Tucker Cawley, if I'm not mistaken. And then we see Robert's wedding. So I posted a couple of pictures of Robert's wedding. Now, let's just talk about a little bit about the series. Hello, everybody. I'm saying hello to everybody. Hello in Ohio. Hi, Paula in, Paula and Mona, both in Canada, as they call it, but far apart, I think. But isn't everything in Canada far apart? All right. The arc of the series related to the wedding that we went to last week. A lot of us went to Ray's daughter's real life wedding. But in the series, Phil Rosenthal said, I really want Robert to marry Amy ultimately because of all the story arcs that we can get. That means for us, if you're a writer, or for Phil, who has all the responsibility of coming up with 22, 23, 26 episodes a year, he saw it as, well, you're going to have a proposal. You're going to have a shower. You're going to have a whole bunch of different potential story ideas that happen if Robert gets engaged. Ray and I, hold on one second. I'm going to drink out of a mug soon. By the way, Christmas is not that far. We'll get into that. So Phil's idea was to get Robert married. Now, a lot of people from the outside are like, sure, he wants his wife. Phil wants his wife in real life. Phil's real life wife is Amy Monica Horan is her real name, but she played Amy. And the truth is, the Amy suggestion was not Phil's. For those of you who've been watching since the beginning, it was Steve Scrovan's. You know that Phil didn't say, I want my wife in this show, otherwise everybody's fired. That's not what happened in the first season. Who's handsome? They needed a woman, and Steve Scrovan's like, your wife's kind of funny, and she could play that role. And so Phil was like, please, anything but having to work with my wife. I see her at night. But too bad she went in and she scored big, as I've said. In the past, when an outside cast member gets a lot of laughs, the writers go, I wonder if Amy Aquino can be in more shows. I wonder if the Cookie Lady, that would be nice to have her in more shows, or Alex Meneses. So the argument that Ray and I had with Phil was, we said, let's keep Robert single, because then we can tell all these single stories. Now, I was single during the filming of the show. I was the only single male writer in the writer's room. So a lot of the story ideas kind of stemmed from what was happening in my life, not the fly eating episode. That happened to Ray's real life brother, Richard, the policeman. Also a point of confusion, because Richard is the policeman and Robert is his other brother, who is a teacher. All right. So we had that argument. Phil won the argument, and it wasn't like a heated argument, but we were like, boy, Phil's like, how many single stories can you tell? And we were like, I don't know. Friends is doing okay. But I don't like to admit this on camera, but I think Phil was 100% correct. You got much more attached to Amy's family. They were scoring big. You wouldn't have Pat's Secret, which was the second to last episode to air, and a phenomenal, like, as funny a show as we ever did. All of that storyline of proposing, the parents turning him down, all of those stuff you wouldn't have had. And so you go, okay, well, what single dating stories could Robert have had? And you might have been able to have some more, but not necessarily as good as the fly eating one. And the problem when you use a lot of outside cast is you only see them for one episode. And so when you see them for one episode, you can't really get attached to them. Like the Young Girl episode, great episode, based on a real life story that happened to me, but it's one and done, as we would say. Whereas with the In-Laws, you get the bird episode, the Thanksgiving episode. So how those characters are going to act. So when Pat comes out and has killed the bird, you know that it's going to set off this storm, and these people, that they're going to, things aren't going to go well. And when you have a one of, which is an outside guest star, you see your main characters reacting to that guest star, but you can't develop the other characters very well. So there you go. So Phil wins that argument. Let's marry Robert. It gives a lot of stories. The idea of having Robert's wedding be this great big season finale was a great one, because you got to see all of the crazy come out in one place. And so I think for those of you that were looking at my wedding pictures that I posted, a few of Ray's real wife daughter, she had quite an affair. So let's just talk about that a little bit. I think it's interesting because for the fans, and for me who watch the show, you think of Patty Heaton and Brad Garrett and the whole cast as being close friends, and they are. Like, everybody is as close as a cast can be. But the wedding of Ray's daughter in New York, which was, I posted a comment. People were like, "Where was the wedding?" And again, I only downloaded a few photos. I probably took through 2,000 photos, but I haven't had a chance to go through them yet. The wedding is really Ray's daughter's. So she has to decide who she can invite and who she can't invite. So a lot of the people, we wish, so selfishly, I'm like, oh, I wish everybody was there. But I know a lot of the cast who was invited couldn't make it. John Manfrotati couldn't make it. Patty Heaton, Brad Garrett. And you're asking someone to go to what's known as a destination wedding. It's not exactly going to what am I going to say? An island in the Caribbean. It is New York, but still, nonetheless, people are busy, and a lot of people weren't able to make it. But Having said that, I know a lot of people are curious of um, how the wedding was. How was Ray's speech? Ray's speech was, as you would expect, exceptionally funny, exceptionally emotional, exceptionally rewarding. It was really, really good. And that brings me up to, I read somebody, quite a few comments on different sites about Ever Rose Raymond, who said, Ray's speech about editing in the wedding was completely ad-libbed by Ray Romano. Well, that which we come up against all the time, which is the actors are so good. Patricia Heaton is so good. Brad Garrett is so good that excuse me, as I have my weekly cough. This might be too toasty. Let me just pour a little ice water in there. Good. The actors are so good that it looks like they're making it up. That's the bottom line. They are great. And that speech about editing was written by Phil Rosenthal. That was, I believe, Robert's wedding was his episode, but I could be wrong. But I'm 90% sure that I'm 20% correct, or somewhere in there are the numbers. So, and again, for those of you who have watched all the time, you're like, we get it. Nothing is ad-libbed for many, many reasons. But I've read on people's on other sites where people are like, isn't that amazing that Ray was able to make that up in the moment? And as brilliant as Ray is, he did not make that up in the moment. And the same with his speech at his daughter's wedding. It was an unbelievably good speech. I'll see if Ray, when next time he's a guest here, if he can share a little bit of that speech. But yes, there were tears shed, and it was a very, very, very rewarding, emotional time. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm picking up my glasses. I don't wear reading glasses, so the effect of reading glasses is me picking up these other glasses. Yes, hello from Southeast Kansas. Yes. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading these comments. It's annoying when I just say, oh, good comment. I can't imagine anyone better for the part of Amy. Yes, Amy was phenomenal. Absolutely, Carol. You are right. Hello, everybody. And for those of you who have friends who are looking for me on Instagram, apparently it didn't connect, and we don't know why. But we will figure it out someday, soon. But it shows that I am. Interesting. It shows on my indications that I am. So the wedding, I posted a picture. I'll try and look for a few others. I made a comment that Ray's real wife does not yell as much as Deborah did in the series, which is true. And a lot of people are like, Deborah yells too much. Well, Deborah's really the put upon person, and kudos to her for even staying in that marriage. So she had a very, very tough time, a very tough existence. So let me see. Sorry, I'm looking at, this is great. Hello, everybody. Yes. Hello, New Jersey. Yes. Hello, so many people. This is awesome. Hello, Gil. Yes. Hello, Ohio. Oh, so good to see all of these different old and familiar names and new. Not that I'm implying that you are old. So the wedding, I posted, someone said, where was it? And I said, the New York Public Library. And somebody said, oh, I thought you were making a joke. The New York Public Library is on 42nd Street and Fifth Avenue. And it is magnificent, a gigantic space. It's very, I don't know what year it was built. But it's a timeless structure, granite, and it is the main New York Public Library building. So I think, I did not see it, but I heard that there was a wedding in the TV show Sex and the City that took place there. But a lot of people who think that's weird, that it's in a library, but when you see the space and when you see one of the pictures I posted, let me see if I can find a few of them. You see how unbelievable that space is. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a sip from our quotes mug. Wait a minute, everybody. Oh, yes. That even, you could hear it. Yeah, that's a drink. That's a drink where you hear sloshing. You're going to need a napkin, I think. The space, I will say this about the space. It's very echoey. So it's a very loud space. But a wedding is allowed. It's not a quiet time, a wedding. So I recommend anybody that's in New York City, go walk into the front steps of the New York Public Library, and you will see the space where Ali Romano got married. It's right inside those front magnificent steps, which it's a lot of steps. If you are lazy, I would not recommend doing it. If you are in shape, you can run up the steps like Rocky, even though that took place at the Philadelphia Art Museum, I believe. Okay, so now there was a question about, so when you guys post questions, if I'm too busy to answer and type, I'm like, I'll just talk about that when I see everybody on Sunday. So let's see here. Yes, I see that I'm not live. Okay. There's me and Raymond and Phil Rosenthal looking all tuxedoed up for the event. Great. And let's see. This is one of my favorite photos that I took. Again, they're posted. Some of you have seen them, and it's a lot of reflection, and I'm moving. So it's someone's going to get car sick watching this. But that is Ali and her husband, Zach. And then here is kind of more the most magnificent interior. Again, you're seeing reflections of audio equipment and our natural light. You're better off looking at Instagram. I'm just talking you through it. Okay, here we go. Little confusion. This is Robert Romano, Ray's brother Robert, who is a school teacher. He is not a policeman. The policeman's name is Richard, but Ray was like, oh, I've included the policeman brother. Let me just name the policeman brother Robert, so at least my other brother Robert does not feel left out. And of course, oh, that's Monica. Monica, who you know as Amy, who's a phenomenal dancer, and I believe she and Phil did dance a couple times. I'm sure there's video of everything there. There's your friend Raymond's speech. I'll see somewhere. I'm sure there's 27 recordings of it somewhere that hopefully may surface, but it was very heartfelt. There is Ray's real wife, does not yell as much as Deborah, and her brother and son. So her nephew and the brother's son, Anna's nephew, and then a brother-in-law is in the smaller part of the frame. Okay, now it was Mark Sweet's birthday. I want to mention Mark Sweet's birthday because let's see if I can find a Mark photo. Mark Sweet did the warm-up for Everett Lives Raymond for all 9 seasons. He's one of the best in the, if not the best. And that's me talking to the audience. So there was a couple of questions about, I thought you did the warm-up, Tom. Mark Sweet did the warm-up from beginning to end. Let me see if I can find, I just imported a photo today, but I don't know if it made it. Let's see, looking. Yeah, I don't see it. So let's talk about the scope of doing warm-up real quickly. We filmed in front of a live audience. Some people are like, I hate that laugh track. We had no laugh track. We had 200 lucky people who were able to laugh from beginning to end of the show. Hold on. Quotes mug. We have to vote on the Christmas ornament, by the way. Christmas is only like 80 something days away. We have to design it, order it, allow it to be ordered by you. And I always say, hold on. Oh, yes. By the way, today, drinking an old standard. Here we go. For all of our British friends. P&G tips. So I think this is almost cliche British tea, and it feels like all of our fans here from Britain who are watching never drink P&G for some reason. And that's a sweeping statement that may be inaccurate, but who knows. The studio audience loads around 4 p.m. and then they watch the playback of an episode at 5 p.m. So Mark Sweet is probably at the studio at 3 p.m. When Mark Sweet comes to the studio, I'm probably still in the writer's room with Phil and everybody doing last minute tweaks, I think, to the script, or just happened. And then we go to a lunch. We all cumulatively go to lunch. So Mark Sweet is there at 3 working. The live audience gets loaded and he has to talk to the audience, keep them, abreast of what's going on, tell them the rules. Then they do a playback of a previous episode. They're the first people in the country to see that episode. And it might even be a rough cut. A rough cut means it's not finished audio, finished color correction, all that stuff. Then Mark introduces the cast. Mark introduces Ray, and then Ray comes out and introduces the cast, then hands the microphone back to Mark, and then the filming starts. Then Mark is there for 2, 3, usually 3 hours. We never did a show in 2 hours. It would take 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. So Mark, for that entire 4 hours, he's keeping the audience entertained in between takes of the filming. So I would go up for maybe a half hour or sometimes an hour, which is a lot of time, and talk to the audience and answer questions, basically exactly what I'm doing now, only you guys were right in front of me and I could answer all the questions and also make fun of things that was going on stage, and people would be like, hey, what is that guy doing? What is that guy doing? And I could answer right away, including doing a funny response. So, yes, Bob Silva, I saw that. Lucky suits for the tuxedos. Yes, very funny. So Mark was the warm-up guy, and I would give him a break. That's kind of how it worked, and I loved talking to the audience just as I do now. I love talking and answering questions and shedding some light on what is going on. I'm scrolling through. Oh, there we go. I got right to it and then I went off. So here, this is a good shot of the whole live studio audience. There is Mark Sweet. I'm going to push in. For those of you just listening, it's Mark Sweet in front of the 200 people right up against the stage. You can see the Ray and Deborah's living room set is there. And then here, I am talking to the audience by that arrow. You can see, and I've circled a microphone that picks up the laughter of the audience. So, excuse me. So a lot of people at the wedding, I believe, did come down with something, a lot of the plague that is going around. So I picked up that cough, unfortunately, and it feels like I've had a cough almost every time I talk to you, but I just got it recently. Okay. Yes, Mona, this is the second wedding for Ray's kids this year. Absolutely. Ray has a twin. One of his twin boys, also in the real life story, also got married in April. I can find some of the wedding pictures for that, but I don't think people identify with the twins as much because you never, sorry, I shouldn't say that. The Ray's real life twins, can you guys name any of the episodes that Ray's real life twins were in, where they appeared? They appeared in a couple of episodes, but they didn't have lines like Ray's real life daughter, Allie, who played Molly in the show. So by the way, live shows for any of coming to Hollywood, we are back to having some live studio audience shows, which really went away during COVID, as you might expect. So, okay, let's see here. Let me address a couple. These are great questions, everybody. And by the way, yes, the basketball episode, awesome. There were, yes, Christmas pageant in the fairies episode. Yes, both of the twins are in the fairies episode, but I don't think you guys have the same attachment as you do to Ray's daughter, which, okay, let me look this up and see if I can pull up. Would you like to see wedding? So, oh, this is what I wanted to go back to. So all of the photos I posted of from the wedding, I sent to Ray's wife first. And I said, hey, is it okay if I post these? Because, we're living in an interesting time where there's an invasion of privacy. There's a potential for an invasion of privacy because you have the thing of paparazzi actually trying to get, private pictures. And I feel bad if you are a celebrity, especially if you are a female celebrity, you are, God forbid you are in your bathing suit in any way, looking anything but flawless, because the paparazzi are terrible at trying to capture any celebrity in a compromising position, which I think, as we know, most of us live our lives in compromising positions. I don't mean anything untoward. I mean, and usually people see it because I take a lot of photos. When you send them a photo and they're like, wow, am I that? Fill in the blank, fill in the flaw that they have seen for the first time in a photo. And a lot of people, I think, go on a diet when they're like, wow, I didn't realize that that's how I looked until you sent me the photo, Tom, and destroyed all that was sacred in my life. All right, here we go. Okay, here's a couple of going back. So there's a picture of me and Ray's daughter. So just to clear up any confusion, a lot of people had written also, aren't you lucky that you were able to attend? So this is not a brag. I've known her since she's 4. So I knew her 6 years before Everett Raymond started. And I've been a friend of Ray's and the whole family for a long time. So it would have been very odd if I was not. I would have felt really slighted and filled with an anger. There is Allie. Sorry, it's so much reflection. There's Allie. That's when Patricia Heaton won her first Emmy, and she came out. Let's see. There we go. There is Allie. And I was actually looking for, and here we go. Here's Allie and Madeline. So, or the characters, Allie and Molly. There we go. Okay, let's see. So I'm scrolling through a bunch of them. Okay, here we go. Here's the twin boys. There is Allie, and there is little Joe, who is now 6'5". He has a pacifier there. He no longer uses that pacifier, as far as I have never seen him with that. Yeah, so these are really some old family photos that most people will never see. There you go. I would take their Christmas picture. There you go, Christmas picture of Ray and the twins. And I think, if nothing else, you guys, there's another there we go, without little Joe, Anna, Matt. And by the way, there are some questions. So here's Allie. There's me, Patricia Heaton, Allie, and the dreaded Parker, who is David Hunt in real life, Patricia Heaton's husband rather, in real life. There's Allie in the middle, Ray's wife. That was a picnic. I had a picnic not that long ago. And oh boy, sorry. Also, if you guys saw Ray's Netflix special right here around the corner, his stand-up comedy special, you would see at the end, this is a photo I took, at the end, his whole family at Joe's Pizza in Greenwich Village. There is the twins. There are the twins, Ray's son, Joe, Allie. The twins are behind Ray, and to Ray's right boy. I'm looking at a reverse image backwards. The opposite side of Anna is one of the other twins, and then Joe is between Ray and Anna. Again, if you get to the village, go to Joe's Pizza. It is phenomenal. Okay, let's see. Here's more pictures. There we go. Yes. Oh, that's a real early one, but it's upside down. Yeah, I'll post it rather than waste time flipping that. So let me see. Here we go. This is really like family. There's making, I forget what we were making then. It might be cannolis. Sorry, camera's not focusing. I can do that. Yeah, is that there we go. Okay, great. Wow. A lot of really, really, really good shots. There is, so there's a lot of family history on the show. There's Madeline Sweeten again and Allie doing a kids thing. Kids for Raymond, they would do a what is it? It's an assembly line for kids making filling backpacks for kids every spring. There we go. There's a rare shot. Allie, one of the twins, and can you guys name who that is besides Ray and his wife? Jiminy Glick. Very funny interview, Jiminy Glick. Here's a birthday thing. Yeah. So this was during COVID. Wow, this is like all family. During COVID, they brought me soup, when you couldn't see anybody. Ray's daughter and Raymond pulled up in the car, and they were the soup delivery people. And I did not tip them, and I feel bad, but times were tough. Okay. Martin Short is Jiminy Glick. Yes, very forget. Lynn Van Orden. Sorry, I see you forgot. I don't know what that means. Hi, Tom. Oh, damn. I came on late. That's okay. Let's see. Were his real life twins in the very first episode? No. The real life twins in the very first episode were actually triplets who were replaced with the Sweeten twins in the first regular episode. The pilot episode is called the first episode is called the pilot episode. And then I Love You was the first episode that was filmed at Hollywood Center Studios. And that was with the twins, with the Sweeten twins. So there were triplets. That's when they had the real names of Ray's real life twins, which also confuses people. He just decided, Ray, randomly, I'm not going to have my real life twins name just for some anonymity. And that's why that change was made. Oh, yes. Delicious P&G tips. I'm on Facebook. Glad to see you. Oh, geez. You sound sick. Get honey. Mets are winning 5-0, top of the ninth. Okay, Lynn Van Orden. You can't just keep giving Mets updates, although I think the Mets are their potential wild card berth. Isn't that what it is? Potential? Okay. I love the Fairies episode with Robert's Basso Profundo version of Old Man River. Yes, anytime Robert or Brad can sing, it's also fun. Tom, what is your day job? Do you still work in Hollywood? Yes, I do. Okay. Yes, I produce a children's program now that's coming out on PBS soon. I'll announce all of that stuff, but I've been writing and doing everything. Yes, they have not asked me to leave Hollywood yet, but that tap on the shoulder may be right around the corner. I don't know. Get the family Christmas photo for the ornament, the hammock one. Yeah, unfortunately, I did not take I can only use stuff that I've made, or it's a tricky thing for the Christmas ornament we're talking about, folks. We took a vote, and last year I think we did a wreath. No, last year we did jazz records with a record. It looked like a record. And we took a vote, and people couldn't decide between the two pictures. So we used both pictures, made both of them available. And what we try and do is make it incredibly inexpensive to order the Christmas ornament. So then before it was, we usually hang ours on the door with a wreath. I think those are all still available. And what we're debating to do is whether we have it as an annual. So you have the year. So ELR 360 Live, the year. And then maybe it'll be without the year in the future. I don't know, because it's kind of a collector's item. Once they're gone, they're gone. But whatever, we will have the vote this week, because as I said, now here's my thinking too. I don't know if you're like any other human beings who celebrate Christmas, but sometimes, I'm not accusing you of anything, but you'll wait till the last minute to buy a Christmas gift, especially men. You'll be like, oh, it is December 24th. I'm going to start thinking about maybe buying some gifts, getting out there and buying some gifts. Somewhere I have the big fork and spoon. I don't see it anywhere nearby, but you can cross a really cool gift off your list. By selling buying a big fork and spoon magnet, which is 100% accurate replication of how it looked on the series. It's a really strong magnet. We tested it for a full year before we even offered it for sale. Tucker Cawley has the original one. I wonder if we have any packaged ones, but here you go. This is it. Look at this. This is the fork and spoon refrigerator magnet. And I'm only saying it now because how good is it to just cross one thing off your Christmas list and be like, okay, at least I have one thing. And then on December 24th, I'll start looking for other things. But wooden fork and spoon, take off. You see the years of Marie's cooking underneath there. These are genuine wood. You can trust me, genuine wood. And yeah, there you can see it on the back, the big fork and spoon. There you go. The movement wrapped. There we go. And again, Tucker Cawley sent me a close-up picture. He has the authentic one framed in his house. A piece of the wall was cut out for Tucker. And I don't think he was ever charged because the statute of limitations is worn off, but that is the actual pattern that is on their house. So there you go. So for the Christmas ornament, we will take a vote this week on what people want. So going back to the Christmas picture, Robert got you a hammock moment. I have pictures of that scene. I have pictures around that scene, but I don't have pictures of that exact moment, which means I would have to do a screen grab. of the show, and it just gets a little bit muddy. But that is an excellent suggestion. I'm all for that suggestion. Okay, let me scroll down here and catch up. There are a few more things. Hi, Anne Marie. Do I go back to my hometown in New Jersey ever? I do. I really do. Who is from New Jersey on here? Okay. Yes, the wallpaper. Hi, Jill. Looked for you on Instagram. Glad I found you here. I'm one of the lucky ones in upstate South Carolina with power, so I can still watch show. Oh, yes. For all of our friends who got hit by that hurricane, terrible. I don't know if you guys know about it in the UK. I know, Gil, I believe you commented about the amount of rain you're getting. Well, this was catastrophic hurricane landing. So, Jill, I'm glad you have power that's funny that you say upstate South Carolina, because that's a different phrase depending on what state you're in. For example, in New Jersey, you say northern New Jersey, you don't say upstate. In New York, you say upstate New York. And then people go, where upstate? And someone goes, Ossining. And they go, oh, Buffalo seems more upstate. The thing I'm making a reference to is here. I'm going to use the big fork and spoon magnet. This is Manhattan down here, let's say, right down here. And so when people say we're upstate, they go right here. But in fact, this is all of New York is a gigantic state. So this is like a Manhattan to the top is like a 8-hour drive. I mean, that's like one end of Germany to the other. I don't know if we have any Germans watching, but okay. Kim. Yes, Kim is from there. Okay, sorry, I'm truncating. I'm editing as I go. So yes, hopefully they have battery power and are willing to tune in. So okay, let's see. Oh, I'm going to take a screen grab of this. That's a good moment. All right, a couple of questions. I don't think I do have, which is fine. I'm going to do. Who wants to see more? So what's interesting is when I'm going on StreamYard, which is this, I don't see hearts. I don't see anything. I only see comments. So I'll post some more pictures of the wedding. I'm sure you guys would like to see that. I'll see if I can get approval to post a picture or two of Matt Romano's wedding, which was also a lovely affair. And was it tux? Was it black tie also? I don't remember. How funny is that? It's only like 6 months ago. All right, let's go back to questions here. A few more questions. Oh, and someone asked if we had a recording of the warm-up. So just so you know, in the studio audience, the lights would go down when they're filming, and then the lights would come up. It would go. So here's a little thing that you would know if you went to a show. Annabelle, I'm sure, who's watching, who went to a bunch of episodes, you would hear, bring us on a bell, everybody, from the first assistant director, Randy Soar, who actually he directed, I want to say, did he direct the sculpture episode? You would hear him going, put us on a bell, and you would hear, bah, very loud noise. Okay. That made run the bell, air conditioning shut down. Everything was quiet. And then you would watch the scene and then we'd go, okay, take us off the bell, everybody. And you'd hear two, man, and then the air conditioning would come up. Everything would go. That would be Mark Sweet's cue to be like, okay, everybody, we just saw that scene. And now we're going to there. And he had to listen to be like, am I going into a long bit here or are they going to go again right away? And so in those points that when they would go on the double bell, Phil would run, give notes, you guys who have watched for a while. And again, this is Tom Caltabano. I was a writer on Everest Raymond for all 9 years. And I took 30,000 behind the scenes photos as just a guy who took photos, not the official photographer. The official photographers were signed by CBS to go to the show, but they would only go on show night maybe 8 times out of the year or something like that, whereas I was there every single day. So Mark Sweet would have to keep his ear and be like talking, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, you'd hear, go on a bell again. And so then Mark would have to say, okay, when we last left off, everybody, if you remember, and he would kind of cue up the audience so they could stay focused. And then you would hear that take again. So someone asked, hey, did you guys ever record the warm-up guy, his whole thing? So Mark Sweet's whole thing was so tuned to what was going on at the show in the moment, that there's not really a show of him that you could watch, because they filmed some of him for the Last Laugh documentary, which I think is on the one of the box sets, DVD box sets. But there was no camera on Mark for an entire 4 hours. That I do know. So, but there's plenty of, I think there's a documentary about warm up guys that's coming out, and he's been interviewed a lot, etc. So that's, I hope that clears up about why there is no like recording of Mark Sweet's 4 hours, 4 hour show. Yes, Instagram was not working today. You are correct. We don't know why. It shows that it's working. It shows, I wonder if I'm on YouTube. I wonder if anybody's seen it on YouTube. Would be interesting to know. All right. Such great questions, everybody. The ones from, yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. The Mets won. The Mets won. So I'm just going back. We had the 69 Mets on the Big Shots episode with most of the 69 Mets, not Tom Seaver. For those of you that are in the United Kingdom, I apologize. For those of you that are New York Mets fans who are of a certain age, you know everybody by name and sight. So yes, the Mets are the perennial underdog. Let's just say that for teams. If you want to root for a team, and the Yankees are in the same town, Yankees have won 25 World Series, and the Mets have won 2. So there always seem to be heartbreaking team to follow, almost like the Jets. Yeah. So yes, our Champsky, Tug McGraw, and we lost Ed Kranepool this week, or last week. Ed Kranepool, who was a first baseman, number 7, very nice guy. Okay, Tom, do you remember when you got told that Peter Boyle had passed away? Greetings from Norway. Hello, Norway. Yes. Well, so Peter Boyle. We knew Peter was sick at the end of the series. Then Ray and I and John Manfrotati, Johnny, visited Peter in Manhattan at his apartment, and he looked really not healthy. And then Ray, Phil, and I visited Peter in the hospital near the end. So we knew it was coming. I don't remember exactly. My guess is Raymond sent me a text or something. And then we all flew to New York to go to his funeral service, which was held in a church on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And Chris Bodie played something on his trumpet. I remember Chevy Chase was there. It was a huge turn. Peter Boyle was a very beloved, big celebrity. So it was a big turnout. And I don't know if Patty was able to, because they had 2 services, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. I do remember Doris being with us and Brad being with us at the service. When I say us, me and Ray. Okay, so let's do this. Yes, please post more Picture Valley's wedding photos. Gotta love Anna having to deal with 2 weddings so close together. Isn't that interesting? 2 weddings 6 months apart. You would think they would space them a little bit, but they were living their own lives and not as concerned with Anna's comfort. That sounds like a selfish thing, but I think it just happened that way. And I don't know if one knew the other. I don't know when the proposal and date setting happened. So that is an interesting question. All right. Final questions, everybody, as I enjoy. Out of the favorite quotes mug, also voted on by all of our customers, who's the nutcase now? Yes, I will ask Ray. I don't know Ray has a copy of his speech, but I'll tell you, one of the most poignant, heartfelt speeches that both Ray and Phil gave independently, their own speeches, was the end of Everose Raymond. That is something to see, but I don't know if we'll see it. Ah, yes. You have to like the mute button. All right. Um, there were a couple of other random questions that I was going to answer. Let's see. Okay. I'm checking the Rolodex in my head. By the way, uh, um, so Bob Silva's asking about my favorite pizza place in New York City. Um, Joe's Pizza is right up there. Joe's sells by the slice. I like John's Pizza, also phenomenal. But there's an insane amount of good pizza. I was just at Lombardi's when I was back there. It was the San Gennaro Festival, which was awesome. But this triggers a thing about the real life. Nemo's Pizzeria was apparently, it closed recently. I had never been there. I don't know that anybody in the show had been there. And again, the original house, for example, of Ray and Deborah and Frank and Marie, some location person shot that. I don't think anybody from the show has ever been there except for me. That's not bragging rights. I'm just saying they're disconnected. So Phil Rosenthal is like, yeah, that looks good. They show him film. It would not be efficient for Phil to fly to Long Island and drive around going, I like that house. I like that house. You must delegate. Otherwise, he would never be able to write a good script. So a gentleman told me not that long ago, within the past few years, he goes, hey, I know where the Nemo's real pizzeria is. And I'm trying to remember if it is, I want to say it's Staten Island, but I hope I'm not wrong. But I saw recently on a Facebook page he sent me. Oh, let me see. I might be able to pull it up. That it was in either Staten Island or Brooklyn, and it was recently closed. So the facade of that place. Let me see. Do this. Carry the one. I love this live. I'm searching my phone. I'm trying to find him as. Let's see this. Okay. Let's see this. Okay, I'm not going to be able to find it, but I will post a link to a Facebook site about this old neighborhood, and they were talking about that pizza place. Okay, so sings at the San Gennaro Fest. Denise Fracano, my friend Jimmy, sings at the St. Gennaro's Festival every year. I love the okay. Marie was the best, wasn't she? In every episode. Okay, sorry. Deanne Fogelman Brooks. Yes, Doris Roberts was unbelievably, phenomenally good. Here we go. Here's the Nemo's pizza mug. Yes, that you can also buy the Nemo's pizza mug, the font that they used at Nemo. Yes. So here's a comment that I would comment about before we say goodbye. So many people write on other sites, the show wouldn't be the same without, Brad Garrett. The show wouldn't be as good without Marie. I'm telling you, Peter Boyle was a show. It's like they all were phenomenal. I'm not sure why that separation. It's like trying to pull one of the Beatles out. It's like all good. You would, you just don't know what alchemy works to make a group, which is why almost no super groups become anything. I shouldn't say that. They're really, really good, but they're not the same as a band which has a certain chemistry together. And so the same with an ensemble cast. So, Seinfeld would probably not be as good with Michael Richards or with Jason Alexander or with, you get my point. So when people write, I think Marie made the show, it's like, okay, but if you took away Robert and took away Frank, it's like, one doesn't diminish the other. So Marie, unbelievable. Doris Roberts, just phenomenal. And yes, Doris Roberts is the villain. And if you're going to get interesting television or a movie, your lead person or people have to want to have a goal and something has to keep you from getting it. And Marie has been the person that prevented them from having happiness. So if you're going to look at it in those terms, 100%. But the chemistry between them all, you can't, you can't tinker with that. And that's why a lot of times, a show will be like, oh, we replace this cast member, and then it becomes not as good of a show. So, yes, I think it's okay. Yes. Let me see this. Annabelle, this is very inside. Okay, let me go. Wow, we're getting to the end here, so I'm going to cover these again. Another thing. What about Doris's passing? Yes, Raymond texted me when Doris passed, and we were in New York later. They had a memorial service for Doris at a theater on Broadway, and Ray spoke, and a bunch of people spoke. I'm trying to remember if Phil was there. I think Phil was there as well, because we went to a famous Broadway place afterwards. Let me see. That would be interesting to cover. It's a little sad, but there were a lot of Broadway royalty who spoke at her service. I'm just trying to remember. I do have pictures of that. But yes, I was home, and Ray texted me to say that Doris had passed. Or he called me. I don't remember. When, from Annabelle, who was the only fan I know to hold the canister until Gil held it recently. She held it on the set, Annabelle. Any idea when Phil's Diner will be opening? So that is really inside baseball, Annabelle. Phil Rosenthal, as you guys know, is on Netflix. Somebody feed Phil. And he's opening a diner on Larchmont Street. Larchmont Street is a little section of Los Angeles. That's a quaint street. For those in the town of Larchmont in New York, upstate New York, let's call it. Unless you're upstate in Buffalo, then you're like, oh, that feels downstate. To me, I don't think there's a date for the opening of Max and Helen's yet. I think there's a lot of permit stuff and all this stuff. It's not easy. Los Angeles does not make it easy to open up a business. But maybe Phil can come on and announce that he wants everybody to come down to his diner. Okay. Yes, I'm happy to share all of these stories. Best cast, every single character is spot on. Yes, the writers made the show brilliant. Yes, the writers were brilliant. Even though I was a writer, I can say that to make my point. But without the cast, the writers are not so good. So it's all together. I don't know why people want to separate it. You've seen shows with a good cast and bad writing, and vice versa. But as one head of comedy told me, executive, a really, really mediocre written show will survive if it has an amazing cast, but not the other way around, because a terrible cast will kill any sort of writing. So I will say goodbye to everybody. Final per Google, Max and Helen's Diner is scheduled to open later in the summer of 2024 at 127 North Larchmont Street. The restaurant will be owned by Phil Rosenthal and feature Nancy Silverton as the executive chef. Yes, everybody. Nancy Silverton is a brilliant James Beard award-winning chef. If you look up on Chef's Table on Netflix, you can see her featured. She's phenomenal. She was very helpful in me when I started to make bread in 2001, and I've been making it every day since. But yes, that will be a nice diner. I will go, hopefully, to the opening if I'm around. I think Phil's out filming his show somewhere. I don't know. Phil, not only has he sworn us to secrecy, he doesn't tell us. So it makes it easy to keep that secret when he keeps it so close to the vest. But Phil was at the wedding, of course. You saw those photos. But as soon as Phil knows the opening, he'll tell me, and then hopefully we can go there. Maybe we can go live from that. How cool would that be? Live from Max and Helen's. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. We're going to vote on that Christmas ornament. Remember, we try and make every single person happy, but I've read that is impossible. So we will take all your suggestions. We'll take votes, and then we have to balance between what can we make, what are the options, what are the shapes, etc. So when people want to make a 3D canister with something coming out of it, we can't do that for whatever we sell it for. We could do it for $150 per ornament, but and in 2 years. So we're trying to balance what we can offer, et cetera. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for such a great session. And thank you for all of your comments.